Have you ever noticed how the world fears failure as if it were a monster waiting to devour dreams? Yet, somewhere deep in the mountains, in monasteries cloaked in silence and mist, monks smile at what terrifies us most. They sit in empty halls, eyes closed, hearts open, teaching a lesson that challenges everything we believe about failing. Failure, they say, is not an end, it is the most powerful teacher, the sculptor of the soul, the mirror reflecting our true selves. Imagine a tree in a storm. The wind rages, bending its branches, tearing leaves from its limbs, yet it does not resist. It moves with the force, allowing the storm to carve its shape. When the sun returns, it stands taller, roots deeper, trunk stronger. This is what monks see in failure, not devastation, but transformation. They understand our attachment to success blinds us to the subtle lessons woven into every stumble. We obsess over outcomes, forgetting that life unfolds in the act of living, not in the applause of the world. In their practice, monks confront failure daily, not as something to avoid, but as a companion, a doorway to understanding. A gentle whisper from existence reminding them, "You are more than your triumphs and your defeats." Most people, when they fail, recoil. They shrink, hide, or mask disappointment with excuses. But monks teach us to do the opposite, to face it with awareness, to examine it with curiosity, and to embrace it with grace. They ask themselves not, "Why did this happen to me?" but, "What is this trying to teach me?" It's a subtle shift in perception, but it changes everything. Failure stops being a threat. It becomes a guide. Think of a sculptor carving marble. Each chip that falls away is not destruction, it is revelation. The block's true form emerges only through what is removed, through the spaces created by what seems lost. In life, failure chips away illusions, habits, fears, and attachments. Each mistake is a strike of the chisel, revealing the shape of your character, your resilience, your capacity to grow. The monks teach patience with this process. In our culture, speed is king. Instant success is glorified. Mistakes are vilified. Yet the monk sits quietly and observes, knowing that the patterns of life cannot be rushed. That failure is often the precursor to awakening, and that each misstep carries the seed of insight. They understand the paradox that in surrendering to failure we gain freedom. To stumble, to fall, to experience the ache of inadequacy is to strip away pretense, ego, and pride. It forces humility, and in humility, clarity arises. Clarity of purpose, clarity of self, clarity of what truly matters. They see failure not as a wall, but as a mirror. And a mirror is brutal, yet honest. It shows every shadow we hide from, every limitation we deny, every false identity we cling to. Monks meet this mirror daily. They do not flinch. They sit with the reflection, breathe through discomfort, and listen to the whispers of the soul. There's a story of a young monk who was asked to carry water from a distant stream every day. He spilled it often, and the other monks laughed, criticizing his clumsiness. Yet he persisted, mindful of each movement, noticing the weight of the bucket, the flow of the water, the rhythm of his steps. Months later, he moved with effortless grace. The task that once felt like failure became mastery, not through avoidance, but through intimate familiarity with imperfection. This is the monk's wisdom. Failure is not the opposite of mastery. It is the pathway to it. Each failed attempt is a brushstroke on the canvas of skill. Each error a note in the symphony of growth. And what about the emotional turbulence that comes with failure? Shame, guilt, regret, frustration, they are storms that rage in our minds. Monks teach a simple yet profound practice. Observe without judgment. The storm arises, the emotions surge, yet they remain the witness. They see feelings as clouds passing through the sky of consciousness. You cannot stop them, you cannot hold them, but you can allow them to pass. This detachment does not numb the heart. It liberates it. By facing failure in this way, the monk transforms it from a source of fear into insight. Each fall becomes a teacher, each mistake a revelation. They often say, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Failure brings the pain, yes, but it is our resistance, our denial, our clinging that creates suffering. When we accept the lesson hidden in every defeat, we step out of suffering into understanding. Picture a river cascading over rocks. The water does not fight the obstacles. It flows, bends, and adapts, shaping the stones as much as the stones shape the flow. Monks embody this principle. They do not resist the current of life, nor do they despair when they stumble. They move with it, learning, growing, observing, and emerging more refined. Failure in this light is not a verdict on our worth. It is a portal into self-mastery. It forces us to confront questions we avoid. Who am I beyond my achievements? What remains when the applause stops? What lessons lie in discomfort, in rejection, in loss? These are the questions monks live with. The questions that transform ordinary existence into profound awareness. They remind us that the fear of failure is often worse than failure itself. The mind magnifies possibilities of humiliation, rejection, or inadequacy until we are paralyzed. But when we step into failure, when we let it teach rather than terrorize, the mind loosens its grip and freedom emerges. And here lies another lesson. Failure is not personal. It is not a reflection of your value, your potential, or your soul. It is a circumstance, a feedback, a moment in time. Monks teach detachment from the outcomes, not from the effort. You do not fail as a person. You fail at a task, a plan, a step, and from this arises clarity and wisdom. The ancient texts whisper this truth in parables and stories, yet the monks live it daily. They show us that the greatest victories often come after the heaviest defeats. That a life untouched by failure is a life untouched by depth. That resilience is not built in comfort, but in adversity. Consider a bamboo that bends in the typhoon. It does not resist the wind. It sways, yielding yet unbroken, and when the storm passes, it rises again, taller and more flexible. Monks embody this bamboo spirit. They teach that failure bends us without breaking us, molds us without crushing us. And when we emerge, we are more aligned with our true nature. Failure is also a teacher of compassion. In this space, the monk shows we develop empathy. We see others' struggles without judgment because we recognize the common thread of impermanence, imperfection, and growth. This is the quiet alchemy of failure. It softens, enlightens, and connects. We stop seeing mistakes as shameful, and we begin to see them as human. And finally, monks teach that failure is temporary. But the lessons it carries are timeless. Each setback carries seeds that blossom in the unseen soil of our consciousness. What seems like loss is preparation. What seems like embarrassment is a teacher. What seems like defeat is an invitation to rise in a new form, wiser, more resilient, more awake. Imagine walking through a forest at night. You stumble, you fall, you scrape your knees, pain flares, tears sting, fear whispers. Yet, when dawn arrives, you look back at the path, and each bruise, each misstep, each falter becomes a star in the constellation of your journey. Failure lights the map of mastery, courage, and insight. The lesson the monks whisper: embrace failure. Dance with it, learn from it, listen to it. Let it mold your character, expand your heart, and sharpen your awareness. Do not fear the fall. Fear only a life where you never dared to reach, to try, to stumble, and to rise. And here's a question for you. What if your last failure was not a defeat, but a breakthrough? What if every mistake was a guidepost pointing you toward your truest self? What if the greatest thing you could ever learn is hidden in moments you wish had gone differently? The monks teach that the path is never straight, never smooth, never guaranteed. And yet every stumble, every falter, every moment of doubt is sacred. It is the universe speaking, the soul nudging, the teacher waiting patiently for you to see what has always been there. As you go forward, remember this: the next time fear whispers, don't try. You might fail, hear instead the monk's voice. Try, for failure is your ally, your mirror, your teacher. In it lies the wisdom you cannot gain otherwise. Walk through life not avoiding failure, but stepping into it with courage, curiosity, and grace. Fall, rise, and fall again if you must. For each time you are sculpted, enlightened, and refined. This is the paradoxical freedom of failure. It is not a chain, it is wings. And if you carry this lesson, you carry a light no storm can extinguish, a compass no darkness can mislead, and a peace no loss can take away. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect: what lesson is hidden in your most recent failure? What wisdom have you been avoiding by fearing it? And how would your life change if you embraced it as your greatest teacher? Failure is no longer the enemy, it is the doorway. It is the chisel, the river, the storm, the bamboo, the mirror, the teacher that will guide you to depth, strength, and understanding beyond anything the world can offer. So step forward. Step forward with the courage of the monk, the patience of the river, the resilience of the bamboo, and the curiosity of a child discovering the sky for the first time. And remember, the only true failure is the refusal to try, the refusal to learn, the refusal to rise. Your failures are sacred. They are the brushstrokes painting the masterpiece of your life, the stars mapping the constellation of your soul, and the whispers of wisdom the universe has been sending all along. Let them teach you. Let them guide you. Let them transform you. And if you carry this message with you, if it resonates, if you feel the stirrings of courage and clarity, I invite you to join this journey with echoes of greatness. Share your thoughts below. Tell us about the lessons your failures have taught. Hit the like button if this perspective inspires you. And subscribe to the channel to continue walking this path of insight, reflection, and transformation. Remember, the world does not define you by your stumbles. Your soul does. Embrace them. Learn from them. Rise through them. And let the wisdom of the monks illuminate every step of your journey.